Hello everybody. So today I'm going to show you how to make that square neck sweater here that you saw in the picture. Okay, it's very easy to make and it's highly customizable. You can add ribbing on the sleeves, you can add ribbing on the bottom, you can decrease the sleeves a bit here at the bottom and make it a little bit tighter. I like the wide actually. You can do, like I said, I'll show you how to do the basic thing and sew it together and do the neckline, but after that you can do the neckline different. You could add more rows of single crochet, less rows of single crochet at the bottom, you know, like ribbing. It's whatever you want to do. It's your piece. Yes, I'm adding novelty yarn to the bottom of mine and on the sleeves, and not a lot of people like that, so, but I do. So I didn't I showed you a picture what it looks like without it. But yes, this is very easy to make. You'll be referring to the description box because it'll have the different sizes there. It is made with a back panel, a front panel, and then we do the sleeves, 2 separate panels for the sleeves, and then we sew it all up. It's actually extremely easy. And then we the neckline will be pretty square. I kind of go around it a bit and clean it up, and I go around the sleeves with a couple rows of single crochet, clean them up, and around the bottom with 1 row of single crochet. But like I said, you do that however you want. But again, I do mention, please refer to the description box for your size, and it'll tell you how big you need to make your panels as far as width, depending on your size. There's a gauge down there. You see me in the picture. I am 5'3", and I probably wears a small medium now. So this is an oversized article of clothing. Now, if you do not want it, I'll probably wear a medium in that picture. Now, if you do not want it oversized, just make it a size smaller. I mean, it'll give the measurements in the description box. Just find what measurements you like. If you don't want it oversized, do it smaller, and you know, it won't be quite so oversized. But yes, it's extremely easy to do. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about the yarn that I used. Okay, so for this particular top, I used James C. Brett Aztec Aran with alpaca. You do not have to use this yarn. It is a 4-weight yarn though. The color is AL9, and I purchased this at the Wool Warehouse in the UK. It's 90% acrylic and 10% alpaca. And there are, excuse me, 190 meters or 208 yards per ball. It is a 100-gram ball. Now, if you look in the description box, it'll give you an approximate amount of yardage you will need of a 4-weight yarn, as well as a gauge and everything like that. And the chain counts, all the information that you're going to need. As I said, you're going to be referring to the description box, but every size will use the same, same hook. Well, the hook I use is an eye, unless you gauge yours and it's different, but I use an eye for this particular project. All right, let's do it. And then we'll go ahead and we'll start row 1. Now, row 1, we are going to do a single crochet in the 2nd stitch from the hook. So we never count this one that's on our hook. So there's number 1, and that's number 2. Go ahead and single crochet into that stitch. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch of the chain. So row 1 is just 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of your row. Alright, once you make it to the end of row 1, we'll go ahead and then we'll start row 2. So row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And that chain 1 does not count as anything. So we're going to be working into this very first stitch right here. And we're going to work 1 single crochet into that stitch. Just like that. And now we're going to start the repeat. We are going to skip 2 stitches. Skip, skip. And in the next one, we're going to work a single crochet and a half double crochet and a double crochet all into that same stitch. So in that stitch we have a single, half double, and double. And then we're going to repeat again by skipping 2, skip, skip, and in the next one we're going to single, half double, and double, all into the same stitch. Repeat, skip, skip, skip your 2, and in the next, single, half double, and double. And we're going to repeat this pattern of skipping 2 and then doing a single, half double, and double all into the next stitch until we get to the last 3 stitches of our row. Alright, I'm coming to the end of row 2 and I have 3 stitches that remain. I'm going to skip 2 and I'm going to put a single crochet into the last stitch, and that will end row 2. Now we can start row 3, which we will chain 1 and turn our work. Now row 3 is the repeat row. It's the row that we're going to keep repeating back and forth until we get our project as big as we want it to be. So into this very first stitch here, we are going to do a single crochet and a half double crochet. And now we're going to do a double crochet, but we're going to drop down to the previous row. So right here where we just did that last single crochet, see that? We're going to do a double into that spot. Just kind of pull up just a little bit and double crochet, just like that. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and we'll always be working into the single crochet of the row. We're going to go into that single crochet and we're going to kind of repeat what we just did. We're going to do a single crochet in it, a half double crochet in it, and then we're going to drop down to where we did the single crochet, half double crochet before. So you can see it right here, and that's where we're going to put our double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and go into that spot and do a double crochet, just like that. And then we're going to repeat again by skipping 2, skip, skip, and you'll end up right here in the single crochet from the previous row. Go into that and work a single crochet and a half double crochet, and then we're going to work our double crochet by dropping down right here to where we put our single, half double before, right here into that spot, and do a double crochet. And this is what we're going to repeat for row 3 until we get near the end of the row. Skip 2, skip, skip, and we single into that stitch, half double into that stitch, and then drop down right here, the row below, and do a double into that spot. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this pattern until I make it to the end. Alright, so I've made it to the end of row 3, and I just did my last double crochet here into this last spot. And what I'm going to do is end by putting a single crochet into the last stitch of our row. And that'll end row 3, and that will end the repeat row. So we just keep repeating row 3 back and forth, back and forth. So for row 4, let's just do again what we did on row 3. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now into this very first stitch right here, we're going to work a single crochet and a half double crochet, and then we're going to drop down right here to where that single crochet from the previous row was, right here, and that's where we're going to work our double. So the double crochet just drops a row like that, and we're going to repeat by skipping 2, skip, skip, and you can see we're working in a single crochet there. We're going to work a single crochet and a half double into that stitch, And then we're going to drop down and work our double crochet right here where we worked a single and the half double from the previous row. So go ahead and yarn over and go into that spot there, draw up a loop, and do your double crochet. And repeat, skip 2, skip, skip, and single in the next, and half double into the next. And then we're going to drop down and double crochet right there into that spot where we put the single and the half double on the previous row. Just like that. So we're just repeating what we did on row 3. And we're just going to repeat it until we get to the end of the row. Like I said, it works up very quickly, very easily. And when you make it to the end here, let me do my last one. We end by putting a single crochet into the top of the last stitch. Just like that. That's it. Just keep repeating. Okay, so remember to always refer to the description box to see how big your piece needs to be. So we do a front piece and the back piece. They're done, the neck line is done a bit differently. It's higher in the back than it is in the front. So I'm going to work on the front. This is the front panel of the neckline. The front panel first, and we're going to do the neckline. Now there are going to be less rows on the front panel versus the back panel. Okay, so now we need to mark off the we're going to mark off the neck hole and do the this is the front panel first. Now the front panel is going to have less rows than the back panel at first because we're doing a square neckline here up. So we're doing the front panel first, and remember to refer to the description box, and it'll tell you how many rows here you'll need for your panel. And remember, this is the front one that we're working on first. Now, and it'll also, if you refer to the description box to your size, it'll tell you how many stitches in you need to count before you put a stitch marker. Now, this side and this side will both have the same amount of stitches depending on what size you're doing. Now, one thing I can say, no matter what size you're doing, no matter what size it is, from the smallest to the largest, you'll always have, every size will have 32 empty stitches between the stitch markers. 32. That's what every size will have that. But the size, the amount of stitches on each side will be different per size. All right. And remember, so will the number of rows here will be a bit different. So remember, this is the front panel, and it's very easy to do. So we're just going to do, we're going to work it in the same manner that we've been working the same stitch. So I'm just going to chain one and turn. So it'll also tell you how many total rows to do. Like I said, it'll tell you how many total rows to do for your size. And then I'll tell you how many rows you need to do here up your neck area. So we do it the same way, with just the same stitch, just like we did before, but we're only going to work it to the stitch marker. All right. So it's the exact same until we get to the stitch marker. Oh, and when we get there, that's where I'll meet back up with you, and I'll show you how we continue doing this, the neckline. Remember, we're working the front panel. It's just a little bit different than the back panel. But we're still working the same stitch as always, so I'll meet back up with you when we get here to our stitch marker. Okay, when you make it to here to your stitch marker, instead of doing our stitch like normal, I'm just going to end the row like we normally would. So I'm going to go into that stitch and end it with a single crochet. I'm going to take that stitch marker out. And now I'm just going to do rows back and forth here of the same stitch that we've been doing. So we're just going to chain one and turn and continue the stitch as normal, back and forth rows. So we just go back in, single crochet, half double crochet, and then we drop double, just like we have been. So this is what we're going to do, just back and forth rows of the same stitch that we've been doing. It's just we're working it now on a smaller size, just back and forth rows. So if you refer to the description box, it'll tell you how many rows you need to do here for your size. So this would be, I did my first row, this would be my second row. So I'm going to go ahead and get, remember, it's the same thing, back and forth. We're just only working it to here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my rows done here, and then we'll come over here and do this side. All right, so this is what I've got here for the square neck, and this is part of this is the drop in the neck. So regardless, this will also be in the description box, you know, you'll be referring to the description box a lot, but regardless of what size you're doing here, it'll say in the description box, but you want to do 13 rows up, for your neckline. All right, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side, except for we're just going to start it where our stitch marker here is. On this side, we started at the end and went across, but in order for all the stitches to be going the same way, now we need to start right here. So I'm going to start in the stitch that has my marker. I'm taking that out because I don't like stitch markers. I don't usually use them, but I do when I record, I guess, just to give people an idea. Okay, so you want to start in that spot where your marker was, and we'll just do the pattern as normal. So you chain one, start, go back into that same stitch, and you single, and a half double, and then you go down and do your drop double, just like that. And then you come over here to your next single crochet, do the same thing, single, half double, and then your drop. So we're just doing the same thing that we just did over here, back and forth rows. And remember, you want to do a total of 13. So this is number 1 on the drop shoulder neckline. This is actually, I guess you would consider this row number 1 of the drop part. And like I said, we have I did 13 on this side, and we want to do 13 on this side, and that goes for no matter what size you are making. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish out my 13 rows on this side, and then I'll show you what to do on the back, which is extremely similar, just a few less rows. All right, so here it is. This is our front panel. So remember, no matter what size that you are doing, we should have 13 rows here and 13 rows here, and what I say, 32 empty stitches for the neckline. A lot of the only really difference in sizing is the width, and you know that's all in the description box. So that's our front panel. Okay, now remember to refer to the description box for, you know, how many number of rows you need to do. But here's my back panel. I finished it because it's done pretty much the same way as the front, other than as you can see, how about I move the front panel? There we go. As you can see, the neckline on the back is definitely not as deep as it is on the front. So you go up as many rows as it states for your size. Pretty much most of them will be similar, but not all. And then we work it the same way we did the front panel. We mark off the same number of rows that we did for the front. Your neck, everybody's neck should have 32 empty stitches, but we only do 4 rows here and 4 rows here, and that goes for everybody. So 4 here and 4 here. That shortens the neckline in the back. And remember, it's done the exact same way. You mark off the same number of stitches as you did for your front. So when you lay it out, I know it looks funky now, but hopefully it won't, huh? Hopefully. We're gonna sew it up next, okay? And then it won't be so far down on your back as it is in the front. All right, see that? So up here is going to be the shoulder area. You guys want to sew it together? I'm going to take you out here because I got to lay it out on the floor. I don't have enough room here to sew it. So we got our front panel made, the back panel made, and the sleeve panels, which are in the description box as well. You know, they're made the same way. You just make it to the size specified. You need to make 2 of those the same. All right, so when sewing together, this is how we're going to do it. So you got your front panel on top and your back panel on the back. Both sides look the same to me, so I really don't care. But if there's a side, we're going to be flipping it inside out. So if there's a side that you do like better, put it on the inside here, and on the end, put this one good side here and good side here. But to me, there wasn't really no difference. So, all right. So what you want to do is you could use the tails that you have left over, like if you clip long tails, or just get a piece of yarn and put it on your yarn needle. And we're just going to simply sew this together, back and forth method. So I'm going to go through this first stitch here. I'm going through both loops of it, okay? And through both loops of the stitch on the other side, I'm going to pull it through like that, and then I'm going to go through both loops on this side, and then on the other piece. I'm going to do this all the way across. I'm going to match up my stitches, okay? Because we should have the same number of stitches across. That's the extra tail, don't mind that. I'll have to sew that in too. So remember, we're not going boop, 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 over. We're doing a back and forth. I don't know why I always do the back and forth method. I guess you can do it however you want. As long as it gets sewn up, that's really the goal. So whatever works for you. So I'm going to do this all the way across. And just matching up the stitches on each side. And when you get to the end, you want to just hide the tail. And then do the same thing on this other side, which I've already done. All right, so we'll get this, our shoulder area sewn up first. All right, so I have to bring you out here to set this on my floor to show you this part because I don't have no room. All right, so we got it sewn together. You see, there's the front. Sorry, my daughter's yelling for the dogs. They're outside. Okay, so what we're gonna do, this is the seam here. That I just made. So the underside is when I'm going to flip it inside out. So this is the seam that we don't want to see right here. All right, so now for the sleeve. So you're going to take your sleeve. Now remember, the measurements are in the description for whatever size that you're doing. They'll probably be pretty close to similar, but both sides look the same to me, so I don't really care on mine. Just make sure that you do the longest sleeve. That is the longest part of the sleeve is like this, and this is the shortest part. So what we need to do is kind of get it centered in between the back panel and the front panel. So I'm going to count this as the seam here that we sewed up. Remember, this is the wrong side. This is what we just sewed. So let me move this around a little bit so you can see a little bit better. This is what we just sewed. So I'm just going to kind of do a count on mine and try to match it up. It doesn't have to be exact, all right? It does not have to be exact, but get it as close to center as possible. So I'm just going to kind of go through and count my, see what we got here, see if I can find the center point of mine. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can eyeball it if you want. It's not a big deal. All right, so this is about the center of mine, somewhere around here. And then I just kind of want to find the center of these two. What I want to do is actually take the center piece, and I'm saying this is the center of mine. I just kind of counted my rows on each side, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to grab one of these stitches in here that I'm thinking is the center, and I'm going to, I put my hook through it, you can see, and then I'm going to put my hook through this piece that we sewed together at the top, and I'm going to use a stitch marker, and I'm going to pull that through. Well, dang it, now I lost it all. I lost it all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to pull that through, and that, I'm just going to say that's the center. Remember, it don't have to be exact. You know, a lot of times when I make sweaters for myself, and I don't do tutorials on them, I just eyeball them. I only show you how to I only show you that I'm counting the rows, you know, to be more professional. But if I wasn't making a tutorial, I would have just eyeballed that. So for reals. So don't worry about it being perfect or anything. So then what we're gonna do is, you got your center there, so you want to try to keep that centered as much as possible. And then we're just going to sew in the same manner from here all the way across to here. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other sleeve the exact same way. So you'll have these two pieces are sewn on your shoulders there. I'm gonna move my camera, okay? It's gonna be a little bit wobbly. So we did our two pieces on our sleeve that are sewn. Remember, the wrong side's facing out. And then we are going to sew on the sleeve here. I showed you how you can kind of find your center. Just eyeball it. It's not going to be a big deal. And then do the same for your other sleeve. Sew it on the other side. And then I'll meet back up with you, and we will sew up. I'll show you how to sew up the sides and down the sleeves as well. All right, I'm gonna get this sewed on. I'll meet back up with you. All right, we're back. We got both our sleeves sewn on, so you can see there's one here, there's a seam to the shoulder, and the other one. Now we're gonna fold it still wrong side out, so make sure these bumpy seams are still facing out, but we're gonna fold it back to where our shoulders are like that. All right, so that's what we have. We still got the wrong side facing us, but now we have to sew the sleeves and the bottom, or the sides up. So this is how we do that. I'm going to turn it this way. Actually, I'm going to fold this over. I'll make it a little easier so I can, maybe you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Now both sides are done the same way. So, front of the work. Wrong side still facing you. See the bumpy seams? That's how we want it. So the sleeve gets folded in half. And what we do now is we're going to sew up the sides the same way. All right? And the sleeves. So what you do, depending on where you want to start, I'll probably just start right down here. The same way we sewed up the top, the same way we just sewed on the sleeves. We're going to match up the bottom, and we're going to sew all the way up, okay? And then when you get to the armpit of your sleeve, make sure it's all matched up and lined up. You just sew, continue along. You sew all the way from the bottom up your side until you get to your sleeve. And then you just continue down, sewing the sleeve shut. So it's just one big long continual sew on both sides. So you could start at the bottom of your sleeve if you want and work your way up and go down. What I'm going to do is with a piece of yarn and a yarn needle, I'm going to start right here, sewing the same way that we did before, just the back and forth method all the way up. I'm going to try to keep my rows as neatly lined up as possible. I mean, trying to keep the, you know, the sewing as neat as possible. I'm going to continue all the way up, and then when I make it up here to my sleeve, I'm just going to make sure it's all lined up. I'm not going to tie off or anything. I'm just going to continue all the way down until I make it to the end of my sleeve, and I'm going to do that on both sides. All right, let's get that done. All right, so I got both my sides sewn up, and I just went all the way down the sleeve on both, everything sewn up. Now we flip it right side out. So sleeves too, they gotta just go ahead and grab them, pull them through. The only thing we can do is hope the seams are straight. I really like my seams to be straight. If I don't like my seams, I will take out the whole project and re-sew it. I know that's weird, but I'm like that. All right, so let's take a look and see what we got now. Okay, let's see it. Check out these seams. That's my first thing I look at here. All right, yeah, I think those seams will be just fine. They don't look bad to me. Check up here, clean. Up here, clean. Now let's hope the other side's as clean as well. Stretch it out a bit. Clean, nice. Let's see the sleeve seam. I'm sorry, I'm just checking my seams. Nice. Up here. Nice. Good enough for me. All right, I'm happy with those seams. Now, let's do some edging on this thing. What do you say? Let's do that. All right, so if you want to try yours on and see how well your neck fits to your liking, because everybody's going to want, you know, a different, I mean, everybody has a style for their neck that they like. I'm actually going to be going around my neck a few times. So here I am, the right side of my work is facing me. Here is the back, okay? I'm going to start, okay, you see this little stitch here in the corner? I am going to start in the one before. Okay, here's the stitch in the corner and the one next to it. I'm going to start in the one right before it, and I'm going to be working some single crochets here and some decreasing. All right, so I went ahead and I chained one. Now I'm going to go back in the same stitch. I'm going to do one single crochet. Now I'm going to do a single crochet 3 together over this stitch before this gap, and then the next stitch after the gap. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and draw up a loop, and right here where this gap is, so it's not quite so gappy, I'm going to go down here and draw up a loop like that, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch right after this where this gap was, and I'm going to go into that and draw. I'm trying to hide this tail as I go, and draw up a loop. So you'll have 4 loops on your hook. Go real tight and yarn over and go through all 4 like that. All right, now I'm going to single crochet my way down until I make it somewhere around here. This would be the front. Okay, right here is the front. See, because it's square. So I'm just going to kind of evenly space out my single crochets across the shoulder line. I guess you can kind of see the stitches pretty well. Well, just do the best you can to evenly space out some single crochets. Doesn't have to be perfect. So you can see that I'm just doing my best to get the single crochets spaced out as even as possible. So I got down here to the front corners. All right, coming down here to the front now. Let's see what we're gonna do here. Okay, you can see the front has that gap too. So I think in this stitch right here, the little gappy area, and the one next after that gappy area, we're gonna do a single crochet 3 together again. So let me go ahead and do one more single crochet there. All right, so in the spot before the gappy area, go in and draw up a loop, and then in that gappy area, but I'm not going to go straight into it, I'm actually going to grab a loop below it like that so it's not so gappy. Draw up a loop, and then in the stitch after, I am going to draw up a loop, 4 loops, do it real tight, yarn over and go through all 4 loops. So we did a single crochet 3 together. Now I'm going to do a single crochet in every stitch across the front. You should be able to see your single crochets pretty well. The stitches are pretty, you know, they're there. You can see them. So I'm going to do this all the way across the front, and I'll meet back up with you over here. We're working across the front. Until we get over here to the corner again to our little gappy area here. So we'll be doing a single crochet 3 together on a stitch before that gappy area, in that gappy area, and the one after. So I'll meet back up with you right here. All right, I made it to the stitch before. I just call it my little gappy area. It's actually the very corner stitch there. All right, the stitch before, again, we're going to do the 3 single crochet 3 together. So we're going to go in, draw up a loop, and into this spot I'm going to go down 1 so we're not so gappy. Draw up a loop, and then drop a loop, and then in the next stitch drop a loop, yarn over and go through all 4 loops, kind of tight like that. Okay, now we're going to work our way up the sides, evenly spacing out single crochets until we get to the back again, to the gappy area on the corner of the back, all right, of the other side of the back. So this is where we just kind of evenly space out our single crochets the best that you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, just like this. All right, and I'll meet back up with you. I'll meet back with you down there at that corner of the back. All right, I'm on the back side again, and this is our last corner little gappy area. So the stitch before it, we're going to do our single crochet 3 together. Stitch before it, go in, draw up a loop, and then this little gappy area, I'm going to go down, draw up a loop, and then the next stitch after, go in it, draw up a loop, 4 loops, do it kind of tight, yarn over and go through all 4, and then I'm going to single crochet across the back until we get back to our starting point. You should be able to see these stitches in the back pretty well because they are the tops of the stitches. All right, so remember we're along the back now again, and I'll meet right back up with you where we started. All right, so I made it back around, and right here is where we started. I'm at the stitch right before it. All right, we're going to single crochet into that last stitch, And I'm going to use a stitch marker. I'm not going to be ending my rounds with a slip stitch, so I'm just going to continue. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into that first single crochet that we made, and I'm going to draw up a loop. I'm going to skip this where we did the double crochet 3 together right here. I'm going to skip it completely, and I'm going to jump over to the next stitch over here. So I'm skipping this one, jumping to the next one, going in and drawing up a loop. So I just did a double crochet 2 together, skipping that 1 stitch. You got 3 loops on your hook. Do it tight, yarn over, and go through all 3. All right. Now it's time to work our way down to the front. We're going to work down the side and down to the front. You should be able to see your stitches now because we've already went around it in single crochet once. So I'm just putting single crochets in them again, all the way down to the front, and then we'll see what we're going to do when we get up there. All right, let's see here. I want to, okay, here's our single crochet. We're going to do this a bit different than we did the back. Here's our single crochet 3 together from before. So I'm going to do another single crochet 3 together. I'm going to do it in the stitch before this single crochet 3 together. So this one, into that single crochet 3 together, and then into the next one. So I'm going to single crochet to the stitch right before the single crochet 3 together from the previous row. Now remember, we're on the front. Well, we're on the side, but we're getting ready to work to the front here. Alright, so I'm at the stitch before. Let's do 3 together. So go in the next stitch, drop a loop, go into the single crochet 3 together from the previous row, drop a loop, and then into the next stitch, drop a loop, do it tight. You got 4 loops because you did a single crochet 3 together. Yarn over and go through all 4 loops. Okay, and then we are going to continue across, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch across the front until we get over here to the stitch before the single crochet 3 together from the previous row, and we'll do that one, the one before, the single crochet 3 together from the previous row, and the one after. We'll do all 3 of those together, just like we did over here on the front. All right, I'll meet you back up. Meet you over there at that corner. Okay, I'm at the other corner on the front, and I'm at the stitch before this single crochet 3 together. So we're going to do the 3 together again. This one, and this one. Just like we did on the other front corner. Make sure you do it nice and tight. You should have 4 loops because you're doing a single crochet 3 together. There we go. And then we're going to continue along the side or shoulder area until you get to the back corner, and we'll do it the same way we did the other back corner. It'll be a single crochet 2 together. Alright, so I'll meet back up with you down there at the back corner. Alright, so I'm at the back corner, and we're going to do it the same way we did the other one. So we only do 2 together. So here is the single crochet 3 together from the previous row on the back. We're just going to skip that like we did a while ago on the back. So we're going to go into the one right before and drop a loop, and then skip this and go into the one after and drop a loop. Now nice and tight, 3 loops on your hook this time. Yarn over and go through all 3. There we go. And then we're going to continue across, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until we make it back to our stitch marker. Alright, I've made it back to the marker, and this would be getting ready to start row 3 of the collar area or neck area or whatever. Remember, you can you can do this as much as you want. I'm actually going to go now for row 3. I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So I'm not going to do any decrease rows this round. I'm just going to work around putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Even when we get to the corners, I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in those corners. All right, all the way around down the side, or around the front, and then the other side, all the way across the back until we make it back to our stitch marker. Just 1 single in every stitch. All right, so we went around with row 3 and we did 1 single crochet in every stitch. What I did after that is I did 2 more rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I did row 3, 1 single crochet in every stitch. I moved up my stitch marker. I did row 4, 1 single crochet in every stitch, moved up my stitch marker, and then I did a 5th row, a total of 5 rows. The 5th one was 1 single crochet in every stitch. So we had the 2 rows of decreases on the collar, and then 3 rows of single crochet, just 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now you can do more or less if you want. It depends on how you want the collar or the neckline or whatever to look. I'm going to call it quits there, so I'm just going to end by slip stitching into my stitch that has the stitch marker. I'm going to tie that off. Now remember, you do as many rows as you like. I'm going to take that stitch marker out. Of course, I'll have to hide that tail. So let's see. That's good on the neck line. Now I'm going to go around the sleeves with a couple rows of single crochet. I'm keeping them baggy, so I'm not doing any decreases on them at all. So I'm just going to start somewhere around the seam and pull my yarn through the stitch. You should be able to, well, evenly space out your stitches if you can't see your stitches. If you can, we're just going to go and we're going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. Now if you get here to the seam and it looks like it dips down a bit, just go down. Just what I usually do is go into the seam and do a half double crochet. That way, since it dips down a bit, dig right into the seam, do a half double there, and then continue. And then that half double should even it out there. There we go. See? All right. So I'm going to work around putting 1 single crochet in every stitch of the sleeve, and I'm going to do 2 rounds. You can do as many as you want. I'm only going to do 2 rounds of single crochet, and I'm going to do the same thing on each sleeve. Now remember, I want the sleeves baggy, so I'm not doing any decreasing along the sleeves. You can, if you'd like, to do some single crochet decreases to make it less baggy, but I think I'm going to leave mine baggy for this one. All right, so I'm going to do 2 rounds of single crochets on each sleeve, and then we'll work on the bottom. All right, so once you get done with the sleeves, the 2 rows of single crochets on the sleeves, I just did 1 single crochet all around the bottom to clean it up, and that's it. That's all. That's what I did. Now remember, this is highly customizable. You can put ribbing around the sleeves. You can do whatever you want. I'm actually adding ruffles to mine. Now I know not a lot of people like the ruffles, but I do. So that's always an option of something that you can do, the novelty yarn, but you know, that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But remember, you can do ribbing around the sleeves, you can do ribbing around the bottom, you can use ruffles around the bottom. It is your top. You do it however you want. I show you the basic. After that, you doll it up any way you want with more single crochet, less single crochet, post stitches, ribbing stitches, novelty yarns, fur yarn, whatever you want to do, or leave it the way that it is. It's completely up to you. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed my tutorial and was able to follow along. So I will see you guys. Oh, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. and that like button, please. And check out all my other tutorials. I have tons and tons and tons and tons. Anything that you could ever want to make, and multiples of them. I will see you guys on my next video. All right. Bye, guys.